Hi everyone, my name is Emma Filtness and I'm here to talk to you about the production processes and ideas behind my visual poem Holy Iron as part of Mellom Press's home-themed visual poetry exhibition. Iron is made inside stars. The explosions of red giants lit a space with iron, oxygen and carbon. Gravity shapes stardust into planets. Meteorites of ore have collided with Earth. Iron is in our Earth's core. It's also in our veins. Plants too need iron to live. We're inextricably linked by this metal to the Earth, to the universe. I've been exploring the nature of iron in my poetry lately, inspired by my childhood hometown, a steel town in the Midlands that mines local ironstone. There's evidence of different cultures and communities settling in the town, many of whom worked the iron, from Danes, Vikings, Romans, through to the Scots, who migrated to the town following Stuart and Lloyd's purchase and development of the steelworks from the 1920s and 30s onwards. I explored the roots of the word iron, from Proto-Germanic and Celtic to Old Middle English, as well as a few others, mapping the evolution of the word to the mining of the ore. In my visual poem, I wanted to represent the layering of the rock, the layering of history and the layering of language, as well as that magical connection between iron and the earth and the universe. The moon-like object in the poem here is actually a cutting from a Hubble photograph of Mars. Mars appears rusty red due to high quantities of iron oxide in its surface material. The cloth that the work is stitched onto actually also has iron involved in its process. So what I did here was I wrapped the cotton around an old iron file. It was super rusty, with some string, and I dumped the whole lot in a bath of tea. So tea was the dye. What the iron does is it acts as a mordant and a modifier. So basically that means it helps dye stick to cloth, but that it changes the colour as it does so. If you add iron to a dye, typically it will make the colours darker, moodier, which you can see here. This bottom portion was the portion that was directly against the file. We've got a much darker colour here than we have in the rest, which is kind of a beige. Here's some more of the cloth where you can see those the differences in the shades based on the proximity to the iron file in the dye process. The paper I also dabbed with tea, crumpled up, flattened out, and then stitched onto just to give it that kind of earthy effect. The embroidery uses a vintage German thread. I purchased a little box of these threads from Tanya at Linladen Embroidery, and she specialises in vintage deadstock threads. Primarily linens from 1960s Sweden, but occasionally she gets in other things like this gorgeous little German box of Gutermann threads. Here they are in all of their shiny, beautiful glory. Even the spools are card, which is really nice. I've had these for about 2 years, didn't know what to do with them, just knew that they were something that I would be able to make use of at some point. And I remembered that I had them and that there were a few rusty, earthy shades going on, as well as some greys and blues. And I thought they would make a really nice pairing with that iron and tea-based cloth for this piece. I also like the idea that they were German, speaking to that Proto-Germanic root of the word for iron that I was incorporating into the poem. So lots of elements that I had around came together quite nicely for this piece. I did an amazing textiles course at City Lit a few years ago now called Colour, Print and Pattern, and as part of that I began experimenting with things like eco-printing, embroidery, and that's when I started incorporating text and paper-based elements into my textiles compositions. I followed this up with some other natural dyeing courses with Rob Jones of Rowmore Designs, and that's why I made the tea and iron bits of cloth that have found their way into this piece. Basically, I just really enjoy interdisciplinary ways of working, and I would encourage poets to explore other art forms and look for ways to integrate different materials and methods into their creative practices. And I guess that's why visual poetry appeals to me, really, because it exists at that point where poetry and visual art meet, and there's so much potential there. I've had so much fun encouraging my students at Brunel University London to explore visual poetry and interdisciplinary practice in the last couple of years, and I really look forward to doing more of that. So yeah, I hope that I've been able to offer you some insight into my ideas and my ways of working. And thank you very, very much to Mellom Press for this opportunity. One final little gander at my poem in person. Thank you. Bye.